Three players, 3 seasons so dominant they felt untouchable. For most of this year, if you asked anyone paying attention to the NHL, the Hart Trophy conversation started and ended with the same names. Connor McDavid doing what Connor McDavid always does, making the impossible look routine. Nathan MacKinnon leading the best team in the league with a hunger that never quits. And Matvei Celebrini, 19 years old, dragging a San Jose Sharks roster that nobody believed in straight into a playoff race nobody saw coming. Three players pulling away from everyone else. Three cases so airtight that the debate felt less like a race and more like a formality. Analysts agreed. Sportsbooks agreed. Every graphic, every segment, every hot take circled back to those same three names. And then December came. Because while the entire hockey world had its eyes locked on those three, one player was doing something that nobody was talking about. Not a hot week, not a little run. One of the most historically dominant offensive stretches this league has seen in years. Quiet, deliberate. Like a man with a very specific point to prove. The question is not whether he belongs in this conversation anymore. The question is whether he should be leading it. And the answer might genuinely change how you think about this award. Real quick before we get into it. If deep hockey analysis is your thing, Slapshot Stories drops new content every week and we go further than any highlight reel ever will. Hit subscribe, hit the bell, and let us get into it. To understand why this moment matters, you have to understand what the hockey world agreed on heading into 2026. Connor McDavid is doing what Connor McDavid always does. The Edmonton captain crossed 100 points in just over 60 games. He is tracking toward another season well above 130 points. 3 Hart Trophy wins already on the shelf. And the thing that makes his case so difficult to argue against is this. When Edmonton needs a moment, when they need a goal, when the game is on the line, he manufactures it. Not sometimes. Every single night, the man does not have bad games. He has slightly less historic ones, but there is a wrinkle. His teammate Leon Draisaitl is sitting right there with him near the top of the scoring race. And Hart Trophy voters have always wrestled with that exact problem. When two players on the same team are both operating at the top of the league, who actually gets the credit? That question has worked against McDavid before. And it is going to come up again. Then there is Nathan MacKinnon, 41 goals in 59 games. He is on pace to blow past his career high and deliver one of the most complete individual seasons any Colorado Avalanche has ever put together. And unlike the situation in Edmonton, MacKinnon is the undisputed engine of that roster. There is no debate about who Colorado runs through. When he plays at his best, they win. The numbers confirm it, the eye test confirms it. And heading into the stretch run, he is sitting as the betting favorite at most sports books for a reason. And then there is Matvei Celebrini, 19 years old. Let that sit for a second. 30 goals, 87 points, 59 games. He leads the San Jose Sharks by 44 points over their second leading scorer. To give that number some context, that gap is actually larger than the total points that second leading scorer has on the season. The Sharks entered this year as one of the easiest fade in the Western Conference. They are in a playoff race. And that teenager is the entire reason why. 3 players. 3 cases that genuinely hold up under scrutiny. For months, the Hart race felt not just competitive, but closed. Like the result was already written and everyone was just waiting for the ceremony. And then on December 1st, the story changed completely. On that date, Nikita Kucherov is sitting 10th in league scoring, not in the Hart conversation. Not in any MVP graphic making the rounds on social media. 10th. While the hockey world is debating which of those 3 Canadians deserves the trophy, Kucherov is about to go on a run that forces everyone to reconsider everything. Before we get into exactly what he has done, drop a comment right now with your Hart Trophy pick heading into the stretch run. McDavid, MacKinnon, Celebrini, someone else entirely? I am going to be reading every single one of those comments, and I genuinely want to know where you stand before we lay out the numbers. From December 1st until right now, Nikita Kucherov has been on an absolute heater. Multi-point performances stacking up night after night. He has climbed from 10th in the league to breathing directly down the neck of every name we just talked about. And the thing that needs to be said clearly is this. The production is not being manufactured by a favorable schedule or a lucky stretch. This is 2 full months of the most dominant offensive hockey anyone in this league has produced in recent memory. The kind of run that, in any other season, would be the only story anyone was telling. But here is what separates this from just a scoring race story. Kucherov is not chasing points for personal glory. He is carrying the Tampa Bay Lightning offense on his back, and he is doing it in the most competitive minutes of the game. At 5-on-5, no power play cushion, no line matching advantages, defenses are collapsing around him because they have no other choice. And when defenses collapse around one player, everyone around him benefits. That is not just scoring, that is controlling the game. There is a difference between a player who accumulates points and a player who tilts the ice in his team's favor. The Hart Trophy, at its absolute core, is supposed to reward the second kind of player. The one whose presence physically changes how the other team prepares, how they defend, how they think about every shift. And right now in Tampa, that player is Nikita Kucherov without any serious debate. On top of everything else, he is chasing a third consecutive Hart Trophy, back-to-back scoring titles. He is trying to join one of the smallest clubs in NHL history, the handful of players who have ever led the league in scoring 3 straight seasons. That alone would be a story worth telling. But the Hart is the bigger prize. And the Hart is where things get genuinely uncomfortable if you are willing to look at the numbers, honestly. Since the start of the 2023 to 2024 season, Kucherov leads the entire NHL in assists, in total points, and in points per game. 2 full seasons, the best offensive player in the world by every relevant measure. In 2024, he finished second in Hart Trophy voting. In 2025, he dropped to third. Elite production, historic consistency. 0 MVP trophies to show for either of those seasons. So the question that nobody wants to say out loud is, why? Part of the answer might have nothing to do with hockey at all. Nikita Kucherov is not the easiest player to market. He does not chase the spotlight. He shows up to award shows looking like he would genuinely rather be anywhere else on Earth. He is, by every available account, completely uninterested in the performance of being famous. And in a league that increasingly runs on narratives, on media momentum, on which players the broadcast ecosystem has decided to invest in, that matters. Whether it should or not is a separate conversation. There is also the reality that Russian players in the NHL have historically never received the same narrative push as their Canadian counterparts. Is that bias? Is that the market? It is probably both, and neither is entirely clean to look at. Kucherov has never had the machinery of the Canadian sports media working in his corner. He has never been the player the industry builds its promotional calendar around. And he fits none of the conventional molds that make a star easy to sell. I am not saying that is the only reason he has not won a Hart Trophy in the last 2 seasons. I am saying it would be genuinely naive to pretend it plays no role at all. Because here is the definition that actually matters. The Hart Trophy goes to the player judged most valuable to his team. Not the most marketable, not the most popular. Not the one with the best brand deal, the most valuable. And if you run that definition honestly against what Kucherov has done for the Tampa Bay Lightning, the case does not just hold up. It becomes very difficult to argue against with a straight face. Tampa's offense runs through him completely. When Kucherov has the puck, the Lightning generate chances. When he dictates the tempo, the entire lineup follows that rhythm. The zone entries, the playmaking, the passing sequences, the scoring opportunities, so much of it originates from number 86. That is what separates a great individual season from something that actually deserves the word MVP. And this is not a hot stretch that appeared out of nowhere. This is the continuation of a run that has kept him at the very top of this league for several seasons now, winning scoring titles, leading the NHL in points, and driving his team's offense at every situation on the ice. Before we get to the final question, there is something important to say first. To everyone who watched last week's video, who left a comment, who shared it in a group chat, or sent it to a friend at 2 in the morning because you needed someone else to talk hockey with, thank you. Genuinely. Slapshot Stories exists because of exactly that kind of support, and building this community with you is the best part of doing this. It means everything. Now let us finish this. Here is where this race actually stands. Connor McDavid, the generational talent, doing what generational talents do at a level that still manages to feel shocking even after you have watched it for years. Nathan MacKinnon, arguably the most complete player in the league right now, running the best team in hockey with a relentlessness that does not take nights off. Matvei Celebrini, 19 years old, already rewriting what a Hart Trophy conversation is even allowed to look like. And Nikita Kucherov, statistically dominant, historically consistent, and for the first time in 2 years, genuinely impossible to leave off any serious ballot. The Hart Trophy has one job: reward the player most valuable to his team. You just heard the case for all 4 of them. So here's the question: who gets your vote? Drop it in the comments right now. And more importantly, if Kucherov does not win it this year, after everything he has produced over the last 2 seasons, what does that actually say about how this award gets decided? I am genuinely asking. Because I think the answer tells us something important about this league. And I think you already know what it is. I am your host for Slapshot Stories. We will see you in the next one.